What's going on, everybody? It's AG here. It's time to reveal this week's top 25. Not a ton of movement at the top, but in the middle, a lot of shifting around here. Let's go ahead and get into it. So 25 and 24, Louisville and South Carolina, both them. Yes, I realize they have 3 losses, but we're kind of running out of quality teams here. Like if a team does have less losses, they're probably not more worthy of getting in. Like, for example, you've got Nebraska in the argument with 3 losses, but Colorado has less losses than them, but they lost to Nebraska, so you can't put them in. So really, I think Louisville and South Carolina are here. They both have 3 losses, but they haven't lost anybody bad. I think South Carolina is capable of beating some pretty good teams, so that's why they're both here. 23, Washington State. They've got that one loss to Boise. Wasn't quite competitive in that game, but other than that, Washington State has done what they need to do. 22, Illinois. They've looked good up to this point, up to this week, but Oregon really manhandled them this week, so dropped them down a tier. Other than that, they'd only had that loss to Penn State. So if your only 2 losses are the top 5 teams, you're doing all right. 21, LSU. They kind of got manhandled by A&M in that second half. Garrett Nussmeier just looked like he was seeing ghosts, and then defensively, they couldn't stop A&M once they made the change at quarterback. 20, Army. They're still undefeated. They'll get that chance if they keep winning to go against Notre Dame and kind of leapfrog Boise State into the college football playoff hunt. Number 19, speaking of Boise, had a close victory this week over UNLV. Again, their only loss is a close loss to Oregon. So Boise State right now is in the driver's seat for the college football playoff spot for the G5. 18, Ole Miss. They are still sitting out there with 2 losses, kind of a sleeper as far as they've dropped out of college football playoff talks, but with 2 losses, you're going to get in. So if they just keep on winning, they're in good shape. 17, Kansas State. They escape in the rivalry game versus Kansas. They're sitting back with 1 loss in the Big 12, right behind BYU and Iowa State. So if they kind of control their own destiny here, if they can win out, though. 16, Alabama. They've got 2 losses as well, but they look good this week. They need to get back on track. Them and LSU got a matchup coming up that's going to be almost an elimination game. 15, SMU. They struggled this week with Duke, went to overtime, but again, their only loss is a close loss to BYU, which is still undefeated. So SMU has not lost to anybody. They play Pitt this week. That's the big matchup to watch. 14, Pitt. Speaking of them, all right, so again, this week, them and SMU, that's going to kind of shake up things in the ACC with not all these teams playing each other. Clemson and Miami, both undefeated in conference play as well. And so we'll see what ends up happening in that conference. It's going to get interesting. 13, Texas A&M, probably the big winner of this week. They had a big win against LSU. They look good. If they can win against South Carolina this week, I think they're in prime position to make the playoff, even if they lose to Texas at the end of the year. Not saying they're going to. With how they're both playing right now, I would probably say A&M beats them. But if they can get in with 2 losses, like if their only losses to Notre Dame and Texas, A&M's getting in, but they have a good chance right now to only have 1 loss and still run the table in the SEC. Number 12, Notre Dame. They kind of dominated Navy this week, putting into that playoff conversation. Notre Dame right now keeps on winning. All right, they had that 1 loss to Northern Illinois, but other than that, they've been rolling. Number 11, Tennessee, still with only 1 loss. They're in prime position as well to make the playoff. 10, Iowa State, 9, BYU. We'll lump them in together here. Both undefeated in the Big 12. These 2 are the Big 12's best chance of getting 2 teams in because they could both make the Big 12 championship, be undefeated, and then lose 1 to each other. Other than that, though, they both had pretty impressive wins. BYU has a win over SMU. Not the greatest win, but it's a good win. Iowa State did beat Iowa out of conference play, so that's a solid win as well. Number 8, Indiana. How about Indiana? I was kind of skeptical this week if they would win being without their quarterback, but they got the job done. They're slowly rising up the rankings. And right now, looking at their schedule, I don't see a loss on their schedule minus Ohio State. And I think Indiana's headed to the playoff. They've looked good, man. And with how Nebraska played with Ohio State this week, that win for Indiana last week over Nebraska looks even more impressive now. Number 7, Clemson. Right now, like I said, they are basically in the driver's seat in the ACC. They only have that 1 loss out of conference to Georgia. Clemson looks better and better every week. 6, Miami. They haven't really played anybody, but that's been to their benefit so far. They're still undefeated despite some close calls. So Miami stays here at number 6. Number 5, Texas. Number 4, Ohio State. We'll talk about them together here. Both struggled today. And if both these teams don't get it fixed, they're going to be in trouble. Ohio State this week, they've got Penn State. They can't take them lightly or they're going to lose that game. Penn State looks better right now. And as for Texas, same thing. Like I said, they got A&M at the end of the year, but you can't even look ahead to that. You've got Kentucky in the middle, Florida, no give-me's there. And so Texas, if they keep playing like they have been this past couple weeks, playing like crap, they're going to drop one. 3, Penn State. Penn State, Drew Aller went out for a little bit, so we'll see what happens with him against Ohio State, but they did get the win there. Looked pretty impressive there for me against Wisconsin. Then number 2, Georgia. All right, they still remain here right now, the best team in the SEC, I think. And number 1, Oregon. They dominated Illinois, an Illinois team that I'm actually pretty high on. I think Illinois is not bad. So Oregon right now stays at number 1. But this is my top 25. Who would you add to this list? Who would you shuffle around? Let me know. Comment down below. Make sure to like this video and subscribe.